Let's look at operations of functions and composition of functions first. All right, so we have, you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions. Isn't that what you've been doing where you just combine like terms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for example number 1, we have f of x is equal to 3x plus 7, or I'll subtract 7, and g of x is equal to 13 subtract 2x. If I want to add f of x plus g of x, I'm going to say 3x subtract 7 plus g of x is 13 subtract 2x. And then I combine my terms. So 3x subtract 2x is x, and negative 7 plus 13 is 6. That's my answer. All right, so that is what we're talking about when we are adding and subtracting functions. You've kind of been doing that, right? This is going to just be about the notation of how we're writing things. So for the next section, for all operations, it says the new function is denoted as, and right here, what we're going to look at is the sum of f plus g of x, that's how that is read, is f of x plus g of x. You may see it written either way. If it is the difference, you are subtracting. So I have f of x subtract g of x. I'll leave you up back there. All right, if it is the product, we are multiplying. So I have f of x times g of x. And for the quotient, when you are dividing, you may see that as f of x over g of x. Could g of x be 0?
Mm-hmm.
Can you divide by 0?
Mm-hmm.
So g of x cannot be equal to 0. All right, so for this part right here, it says f of x is equal to x squared subtract 8x plus 4. G of x is equal to 4x subtract 3. And h of x is equal to x plus 2. All right, I want to find f plus g of x. So I am looking for f of x plus g of x. So f of x is x squared subtract 8x plus 4. And I'm going to add g of x, which is 4x subtract 3. So I combine terms. I have x squared. What is negative 8x plus 4x? Negative 4x.
Plus 1.
And 4x subtract 3, 4 subtract 3 is 1. So that's my answer. Now, it says indicate any restrictions on the domain. Is my domain here all real numbers? Can I put in any x and get an answer? Okay. The only time you're going to have restrictions is if you are dividing, because you can't divide by 0. All right, for number 2, we are subtracting. I have f subtract h of x. So I have f of x subtract h of x. All right, when you subtract, you have to watch your signs. So you have f of x, so you get x squared, subtract 8x plus 4. And we're going to subtract h of x is x plus 2. Why did I put that in parentheses? Because I got to subtract the whole function. All right, so I have x squared. There's nothing to combine with that, is it? All right, negative 8x subtract x. What is that? Negative 9x. This is square, sorry. And 4 subtract 2. What do I get? All right, everybody understand those two? Combining terms, we're just writing it a different way. All right, for number 3, we have h times g of x. So you have h of x times g of x. So h of x is x plus 2. And g of x is 4x minus 3. How do I multiply binomials? Foil, distributing them. All right, so I get x times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 3. 2 times 4x. And 2 times negative 3. Now can I combine my terms?
Yes.
So 4x squared plus 5x subtract 6.
We're not doing RL and stuff like that like you said before.
Do what?
We're not putting RL in this, like RL and your mean stuff like that.
Well, it just says any restrictions. There is no restrictions. It's all real numbers.
Okay.
So only when we divide, it's divided by 0. We put.
Right. So if you're not dividing, there is no restriction.
Okay.
The next one we're going to have a restriction. All right, for number 4, I have f divided by h of x. So I have f of x over h of x. All right, f of x is x squared, subtract 8x plus 4. And h of x is x plus 2. Do I have a restriction now? What could x not be?
0.
What could x not be?
Oh.
If x was 0, my denominator would be 2.
That's gonna be negative.
Negative what? Can't be negative 2, can it?
No.
Can I just set the denominator equal to 0 and solve?
Mm-hmm.
So x cannot be equal to negative 2. Because if x is negative 2, I'm going to get 0 in the denominator, and that cannot be, that's not mathematically correct at all. Can we ever divide by 0?
No.
No. All right, number 5. I have h divided by g of x. So I have h of x divided by g of x. So h of x is x plus 2. And g of x is 4x minus 3.
Can we do that on synthetic?
We're not dividing. I mean, you can't divide it. There's nothing you could do there. All right. What can x not be? Can I take this and set it equal to 0? And that's what x cannot be? Dwight? So can I add 3 and divide by 4? So x cannot equal 3 over 4. If x is 3 over 4, am I going to get 0 in the denominator? If x is 3 over 4, am I going to get 0 in the denominator? Yes. right, number 6. I have f times g of x. So I have f of x times g of x. So I have x squared minus 8x plus 4 times g of x is 4x minus 3. Can I multiply these together?
Yes.
Can I just distribute everything?
Yes.
So I have x squared times 4x. What is that?
4x squared.
4x cubed.
Yes, sir.
And x squared times negative 3 is
Negative x squared.
negative 3x squared. All right, negative 8x times 4x is negative 32x squared. Negative 8x times negative 3 is, hello, positive 24x. 4 times 4x is, and 4 times negative 3 is, guys, for the ones of you that are sleeping and not doing anything, I hope you're doing well on your quiz tomorrow. So I'm not waking you up again. Same ones, I woke you up twice.
Where'd you get 24 at?
8x times 4x. Wait, no, 24. 8 times 3. Negative 8x times negative 3x is 24x. All right, now combine terms.
4x.
All right, I have 4x cubed.
Negative 35x squared.
All right, then negative 3x and negative 32x is negative 35x squared.
Plus 40x.
All right, 24x plus 16x is 40x,
Minus 12.
and subtract 12. Questions on that? All right, I want you to look at the part that says, well, no, we'll start up here, I forgot. Look at number 7. We have f plus g of negative 2.
Because we're going to like FOIL.
Do what?
Any FOIL information? FOIL.
We're adding. The only time we FOIL is when we multiply.
Okay.
All right, so I have f plus g of negative 2. So I'm going to add f and g together. Now remember, when you have something like this, if I was to have f of x is equal to x plus 2, and I said f of 1, so you put that 1 into where 2 was, where the x is, and you said 1 plus 2, and you got 3. Y'all remember doing that?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to add f plus g. So I get 2x squared, subtract x, subtract 12,
Plus x. Plus 7.
plus x plus 7. All right, so I have 2x squared. Negative x plus x is 0, and negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. Now, what this is telling me is I am going to substitute negative 2 into this equation. So I would have 2 times negative 2 squared, subtract 5. What'd you get? Everybody get 3? All right, now, I could have also done that problem like this. F of negative 2